Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Synamon Says. I'd like to welcome you to our very first show. This evening, I have with me our guest, who is Mr. Oscar Blalock, who you'll get an opportunity to meet in about 5 minutes after I've done all my talking. I have a few announcements I would like to make. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about Synamon Says. Synamon Says will air every Friday at 8 p.m. We have a different segment Friday. On the very first Friday, we have what's called Synamon Says, What Do You Say? The second Friday, we have The Point, which is a group of citizens in Clayton County who will have dialogue about various and pertinent issues that are going on in Clayton County today. On the third week, we have a group called 20 Women Dialogue, a newly formed group of women here in Clayton County who come together and have discussion as well about issues like women and children here in Clayton County. And finally, the last episode is dedicated to Clayton Countywide Homeowners Association, an association that's committed to making sure that the citizens of Clayton County, homeowners in particular, are kept abreast and aware of issues that affect the value of their property as well as the safety of their community. So each show, you'll get about 15 minutes in the beginning talking about Clayton County, and I hope to be able to have an elected official or an appointed official in Clayton County come and talk to us for about 15 minutes before we talk to our special guests that we'll have on each week. So this week, though, because this is my first show and we're just getting started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the things that have taken place in Clayton County the last couple of months, but even more so about some things that you'd be interested in knowing. First of all, congratulations to all of the newly elected officials here in Clayton County, which include Kim Kimbrough, who is sheriff, Gail Hambrick, commissioner for District 2, Tracy Graham Lawson, District Attorney, Tasha Mosley, Solicitor General, Glenn Baker, State House District 78, Gail Buckner, State Senate District 44, Charlton Bivens, School Board District 9, Mary Baker, School Board District 6, Ophelia Burrows, District 5, and Wanda Smith, School Board District 2, Pam Addison, District 1. We also want to say welcome to all of those who were re-elected. Welcome back into your seats, and we're looking forward to working with you this year as before. Now, here in Clayton County, we have a new program that's called the Prescription Discount Program. And this discount program, according to, if you go online, you'll find this information. There's a Clayton County, there's a card that you get that has gives you free prescription discounts, and there's no signing up, no papers to process. You simply go into either your library, you can go into the library, the Board of Commissioners office, senior citizens centers, recreation centers, DFACS offices, and the health department, and get this card right here. And the next time you do your next subscription, your next prescription for medication, used it, you can get up to 20% off. That's the program sponsored by Clayton County Commission. Now, there's also, listen to this one. If you bank with Bank of America and you had a return check for whatever reason, between the years of 2000 and 2007, Bank America owes you $78. There was a suit that was filed on behalf of it was filed back in 2000. But right now, the fact of the matter is, you can get $78 if you were one of those customers at Bank of America between 2000 and 2007. Check it out with your bank, and if you email me, I'll give direct information on where to go to find out more about that. Also, Clayton County has been awarded, and I can't say how many million because I don't remember that number and I don't want to give you misinformation, but millions of dollars were allotted to Clayton County to cover the cost of energy during the winter season. And all you have to do is go to the Clayton County Community Services at 1000 Main Street in Forest Park, and they will give you, based on your income and your household, $350 allotment for your energy bill, whether it's gas or electric. So that's worth checking out as well. Also, I have friends, all of my friends out there in Atlanta who are watching this evening. As I said in the beginning, this is about Clayton County, but we do have information to share with those of us who spend a lot of time in Clayton, in Atlanta, but also those who are in Atlanta who are listening to me this evening. The one thing I want to talk about, inform you of, there's at Hillside International Truth Center, where Dr. Barbara Lewis King is founder and spiritual leader, they will be having Friday night at the movies, spiritual cinema, and the first showing for their first show, rather, is The Great Debate, Friday, February the 20th at 7:30. Then, oh, this is really awesome right here. A young lady, Zarina Muhammad, has her own company. It's Andy Lee Productions. And Andy Lee Productions and Silver's Delight Caribbean Restaurant present Open Mic. I urge you to attend. It's February 21st again. They're located at 2879 East Point Street in East Point, Georgia. If you require more information, please call 770-895-6242. And that's next Saturday, February 21st. The doors open at 7 p.m. Open mic. Sign up is free, and it's $5 admission. I really hope that folks from Clayton County will support this particular event, because I want you all to see the kinds of things that we can do in Clayton County in terms of culture. We're absent of culture in Clayton County, and I think that if we have an opportunity to see the different things that we need to do in terms of cultivating that culture in Clayton County, then maybe we can move forward and have some real good social and even business relationships built here in Clayton County. Because as you know, most business deals are done over drinks or on the golf course. So again, next Friday night, next Saturday night, February 21st, open mic featuring Fierce Soul, Andy Lee Productions. Thank you. Now let me see, I got one more thing here. Everybody's looking for a job. And some people aren't looking for a job. You know, when I think about it, and we realize that people are suffering and they're losing their jobs or can't find jobs. We've got young people coming out of college and they can't even find a job. In my sphere of people that I communicate with, very few are unemployed. But there are those I know who are experiencing unemployment. So each week I'm going to bring you information regarding various job opportunities that exist in Clayton County as well as the Metro Atlanta area. And this one came to me last Thursday. It's the Atlanta Police Department hiring news release, and they will be testing for jobs with the Atlanta Police Department on Wednesday, every Wednesday in February at 8 a.m. on the 4th floor of City Hall East, which is located at 675 Ponce de Leon Avenue. Also, now there's another opportunity that's coming up for everyone 16 and older, and that is jobs through the Census Bureau. And every 10 years we do this count, and it's extremely important that we have as accurate a count as possible of the number of people that live in Clayton County, because that determines the funding that we receive from the federal government. But in the meantime, before we get to that point, right now, census jobs make money, make a difference. The number is 1-866-861-2010. That's the U.S. Census Bureau. These are short-term jobs with long-term results. Paid training, temporary part-time and full-time jobs, authorized mileage reimbursement, and assignments last 5 to 10 weeks. So once again, 866-861-2010. Okay, now I think that concludes all of my announcements about activities and things that are going on in Clayton County and around Clayton County, and where you can get some money, and where you as well you can go and get discount on your medication. Just want to reiterate that so that people will know. On next Friday, before I turn over to our guest, Mr. Oscar Blalock, I want to let you know that on next Friday we will have Ralph David Abernathy III, who is CEO of the Ralph David Abernathy Civil Rights Center. He is also son of the late Dr. Ralph David Abernathy, and I assure you we're in for a treat. Also, the last Friday, Clayton Countywide Homeowners Association will have Dr. Henry Anderson come to us to share with us the history of the Clayton Countywide Homeowners Association and what they have planned for homeowners in terms of supporting them on this year. Okay, I think I've said enough. Mr. Blalock.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's an honor to have you here. As I was sharing with you in the beginning of the show, that when I decided I really wanted to focus on the NAACP being the 100th anniversary, I wanted to know more about what happened in Clayton County that precipitated us establishing an NAACP here in Clayton County. I want to know what your views were in terms of the effectiveness of the NAACP here, as well as I want to talk to you about what your views or thoughts are about what the new president, our new president, Ben Jealous, has to say about where we go from here.
Thank you. The NAACP was organized in early '87. Prior to that, we didn't have a mechanism at that time to address the concerns of minorities in Clayton County. I think at that time the population was approximately 13%. We had no black elected officials, so we needed to get something in place to address that. In the fall of '86, we had a meeting. Wade Starr called a group of concerned citizens together, and approximately 20 people met one third Sunday in August, I think it was, in '86 at the Andrews Chapel United Methodist Church to discuss specifically an NAACP in Clayton County.
Okay.
And from that, early '87, we formed our first chapter.
Very good. And that's been like 23 years ago.
Yes.
You know what was very striking to me when I read over I went to the the regional office here in Atlanta to see what kind of research they had, what information they had about this particular chapter.
Right.
And what was very interesting to me in the research was that one of the reasons that the NAACP formed at that time was around the issue of the superintendent.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We had, during that time, we didn't have any black elected officials. And the fact that we didn't have anyone to speak for us, we felt that we needed to get an organization to put pressure on those persons who are in position. And the schools at that time were quote unquote integrated, but still we were not getting a fair shake. So we felt that it was imperative that we come together as a group, an organized group, specifically under the heading of the NAACP, and we felt that we would get more pressure locally and as well as support from the national office.
Did it work out like that for us?
Well, it was a slow process. Our first elected official was a Clayton County councilman by the name of Franklin Varner. He was the first.
Franklin Varner?
Franklin Varner.
Okay.
Was the first black elected official in Clayton County. He was a city councilman in Jonesboro.
Oh, okay.
And then I think the next black elected official was Virginia Gray to the Clayton County Commission. The North district of north part of Clayton County was predominantly black, so we had a district where we were able to utilize our resources to vote to get a black elected official in who could speak and share the concerns of us. So the NAACP was very effective. We were able to put pressure on the elected officials, and as the population grew, we were able to get more people in to address our concerns.
Very good. Now, let me ask you this question. This is, again, the 100th year anniversary of the NAACP. And with Clayton County NAACP only being 23 years old out of 100 years, that was a long time. Yes,
we, prior to our chapter, we would get assistance from the Atlanta chapter.
Oh,
the late John Dale Johnson and others would assist us. So, but we felt that we had some local concerns, and we needed to get an organization to address our specific needs here in Clayton County.
Okay. Well, what about the issue of the superintendent, which would seem to be an organizing issue? I said the first organizational focus of the local NAACP was a school superintendent candidates forum held at Andrews Chapel.
Now, if I'm reading correct, we had several ways to, initially the superintendent was elected, and it was so politicized until then it became an appointed position. But either way, we were basically left out of the loop, and we would attend school board meetings and try to get promises from those the school board members and the superintendent to make sure that the black schools were received the same received the same training and that the other schools were receiving. Also, we felt that we needed to have some black administrators in those positions, and that's what we were pushing for. During that time, I don't think we had any black principals either. We had
You're talking back in, this was in 1986.
I don't think we had any black principals at that time. Initially, when I was growing up, we had, black principals at the black schools. But once the integration came in, then they
got rid of them.
They were forced out. So for a certain period of time, we didn't have any black principals until later on we did finally get a black principal.
Now, I also saw where Joe Lovin and Pete McQueen, they were candidates. Did either of them win the election for the superintendent?
Pete McQueen was superintendent at one time. Matter of fact, I think Joe Levin was the first doing the elections. I think he was the superintendent, and then later on Pete McQueen became superintendent. And then that was during the elections. And then it was decided that it was best that the superintendent would be appointed.
Now, how did they get to that point? Was that put on the ballot, or did you all just...
It was on the ballot. We would elect a superintendent countywide, and it was a fierce competition, and for whatever reason it was decided that that was not the route to go. We needed to appoint a superintendent.
Okay. All right. Well, see, a lot of people don't even know that. They don't know that at one point superintendent was an elected position, and now it is an appointed position. Tell me about, I'm switching gears right now. Tell me this. What do you see as the role, and let's start at the national level first. What do you see as the role of the NAACP today? Thinking from the national level, then I'm going to take you back to the local level.
The focus is we still have problems nationally. In some certain areas, we have communities with predominantly black, that are predominantly black, so we're able to elect black elected officials, but we still have areas where that's not the case. And so we still have to put pressure in those areas to bring to the forefront that, we still, even though we only have one black senator in Congress, in the United States Congress. So,
right.
so we still have a long way to go.
As a matter of fact, let me just read a quote here from President Jealous, Benjamin Jealous, the NAACP President and CEO. He says, "At the end of the day, we are not an organization who is here to celebrate any milestone too much. On January 20th, we celebrated Obama as the first black president, and on January 21st, we were aware that he was the 44th president of the United States, and we are out there making sure that his agenda is our agenda."
Right. Well, we have to make sure that we give President Obama full support, and thankful that we were able to get President Obama elected. But he's still, there's a lot of work to do. He has stressed this, that he can't do it by himself. He's made it clear that parents have to get involved. They have to make sure that their children turn the TVs off.
Yes, turn it off and sign on. Yeah.
So it's a community involvement. So we can't take the position that, we can sit back. We have to work harder now than ever before.
I agree with you. As a matter of fact, I've been telling friends who listen that the one thing that we don't expect from Obama is for him to solve the race problem, because he can't do that. No. And to assume that because he's been elected that the race problem has been resolved is just a big mistake.
Well, he got probably 50% of the vote. So 44% of the people of the vote, the problem still exists.
Right. And you know what? It seems as though they meaning Republicans, they're acting as though we're still in a campaign mode. We're out of campaign mode.
I don't think they've gotten over that yet. Apparently, it hasn't sunk in yet that Obama's in there for 4 to 8 years, and so the fact that he's in there today, the vote was we still didn't get one single Republican to vote for the stimulus. Now, it's not for Obama; it's for everyone.
Right.
As Obama stated, if you're driving a Rolls Royce and another person is driving a Pinto, when you come to the cliff, you're both going over. So it's not a black problem. It's not a white problem. It's a United States problem.
And it's, right, you're
and they need to understand that. They need to get over the fact that, Obama's in now. Forget about that. But we still have a long way to go.
Yeah. I think that what seems to be the problem, one of the reasons they can't get over it, is that and we're not being general here, because we know that we both share relationships with white people.
Right.
So it's not that.
No.
There are certain whites who view any gain for blacks as a loss for them. Yeah. Unfortunately.
That's very unfortunate, because even doing affirmative action, whites are gaining more than blacks, but they don't seem to stand that. But and Obama's made it very clear. We're in this together, and so we still need the NAACP, the national organization, because we still have serious problems in the United States.
One of the things that I see that occurred, and you probably are aware of this as well, prior to President Obama's election, the crimes that were committed against minorities escalated. And since his election, have escalated even more.
Even more. Churches bombed. I think some were set on fire. I think some here in Georgia, I believe. Just recently, I believe, if it was not here in Georgia, but at least 2 black churches. It hasn't been identified as that, but I think we know what it is. We know what the problem is.
But thank goodness that we have, like I said in the beginning, we're not talking about all white people, so don't start. I don't want anybody out there saying
the NAACP was organized, the national white. So we understand that, but we also understand that there are still those who are living in the 20s and 30s and slavery times. So those are the ones we're speaking about.
You made a very important point about the organization of the NAACP, which was started by a majority of white people.
That's right.
There were actually only 2 blacks on that original, when it originally got started, there were only 2 blacks, and that was W.B. Du Bois and Ida Wells Barnett. Those were the 2 that were members of the, who pretty much got it started. Why did it start? Well, I know you know this, but I want to share with you, the viewing audience. The NAACP started with a lynching 100 years after the birth of Abraham Lincoln, and in the city of Springfield, Illinois, which was Lincoln's longtime residence. A gentleman by the name of William English Walling, a white Southerner, dramatized the gruesome happening, and a group of liberals formed a committee in New York. A conference was held in 1909. So in that group, there were 4 different people, 4 different groups of people in that, at that conference. It included scientists who knew the race problem, philanthropists willing to help worthy causes, social workers ready to take on the new task of abolition, and Negroes ready to join a new crusade for their emancipation. So when people look at NAACP as a black organization, that's a misnomer. And if you ever have a chance, if you're not a member and you have an opportunity to attend some of the banquets, the different conferences and conventions, you will find that there is a very diverse group of people in NAACP even today. You agree with that?
Oh, yes. I served as president of the Clayton chapter in the 90s, and attending some of the conferences. It was very diverse. As a matter of fact, there was a couple of chapters where whites were the president of the chapters.
Yes.
So it's not a black organization. It's addressing the concerns and needs of everyone. Even during the early times when we were here, we were assisting whites as well, because they were suffering just some of them were suffering just as much as we were. So the NAACP is for everyone.
Right.
And there are different people who participate in this. So it's not certain ethnic groups who are benefiting and who participate. It's inclusive.
Very good. I want to thank you for your time this evening. I have one last question for you, and we have to wrap it up.
Okay.
What is the role of the NAACP as it exists today in Clayton County? As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. That's not a good question. What issues in Clayton County that exist today, because we talked about the elections and the voting and all of that. Today, what is there, and we talked about the superintendent and how that changed. What is it that the Clayton County NAACP should be focused on at this time?
Well, even though we have black elected officials in some segments, we've got to ensure that everyone is accountable. So while there have been some changes from the early 80s to our present day, the NAACP still has to make sure that everyone gets a fair shake. And even though we still have black elected officials, there's still people who are suffering. So the NAACP still has to remain focused on the schools, make sure that our children are getting quality education, and making sure that in employment everyone gets a fair shake.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to especially say hello to TJ in Maryland, James Thirsty in Ellenwood, Wayne Clark Jr. in Hampton, Derek Young in Riverdale, Natasha Clark also in Hampton, Leslie Military, and Kay in Stone Mountain. Thank you all for being a part of this audience this evening, and I look forward to next Friday. And I want you to remember, Synamon says, what do you say? Well, worked out pretty good, huh?